All right. Hey guys, Jason Taves. Just making sure if the internet's doing all right today here in Kansas. Uh, get ready to talk to you guys a little bit about a new era of search, what that looks like. Actually, it was really interesting. I was doing some research kind of for our own business, and I got excited about this. So we'll see. We'll see if you guys have some thoughts about it, but we'll wait a little bit until everybody gets in. Make sure everybody's joining in if they wanna view it. So the new era of search is a really interesting concept, like how Google formed how we find things on the internet. It's changing a little bit. It's becoming a lot more social. It's becoming a lot more mobile, and the Google, I don't know. We'll see. Like it'll probably stick around, but you see other places online being searched more than Google. And I think actually Google's biggest success in the last 5, 10 years is buying YouTube, because YouTube is like the second biggest search engine. Like, people use YouTube to search stuff all the time. But I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple. Let's see, maybe three. Yeah, probably three different new forms of searching, and they're not really new, but they're unique compared to what the search has been oftentimes in the past. So if you think about Google, if you think about using Bing or Yahoo or any kind of search engine, like that's a pretty typical search experience, being able to use that. And for us marketers and small businesses, we really have to leverage SEO and finding out how to optimize those search engines. Um, the next big thing I think is going to be mobile search, and for people who have a smartphone and who have used their mobile search features like within the phone itself. So I'm not talking about like going into Google, going into Bing or one of these search engines, but actually using um, but actually using the mobile search features like Spotlight on the iPhone to search for things, using things like Siri to automatically search through these search engines. It's changing the way that people search, and it's changing the place that people first search. And I thought that this is super interesting because over 60% of the internet is now consumed on a mobile device. That's a lot. That's a lot of the internet. I mean, you think people streaming, you think people consuming the news. It's a lot to say that 60% is consumed online. And a lot of people think that this mobile search might replace the desktop or replace the computer that sits at home, maybe gets used every once in a while, and puts everything in the palm of our hand, whether it's tablets, whether that's phones, smartphones, iPads, smart watches, you name it. But the really interesting thing, and I was doing a little bit of research, and I found that Forrester was saying that 85% of the time that we spend on our smartphone is actually spent in app. And so what that means for mobile search is that a lot of this mobile search is occurring in an app. So whether that's a Facebook app, whether that's an app, I don't know, just an app that you're using on your phone to search things. A lot of them have browsers integrated. So like Facebook used to do that, still does that. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep you inside their app for a longer period of time, which is really interesting. It keeps you where they want you instead of going out to the standard browser approach. So that's a huge shift, and it's a big shift for people who are looking for things quick. So if you think about it, you're walking down the street, you're looking for a coffee shop, you're looking for um, heck, I mean, the other day I was looking for small business insurance, and it's just like most of my search on my phone was not through a browser. I was using Google Now, which is technically an app, and it's still using Google, but it's not open up a browser on your phone and then go to google.com and then search. I was, speaking to my phone and asking it to search straight away for me. Pretty similar to people who use Siri on their iPhones. So what this data does imply is that we're seeing a flood of content being consumed through the apps themselves, and that's going to be a huge trend changer for people who are used to web design, kind of the standard design for desktop, and that's shifting to be a lot more mobile centric, a lot more mobile focused, and I think that that's going to be a huge paradigm shift in the way that we view mobile search and how that interacts with people around the world. The second thing I wanted to talk about was social search. So a great example of this flood of new content would be to highlight the app we're fairly familiar with, would be Facebook or Instagram. And these two apps, like they use, and even Twitter, like we've been using these symbols now. So the @ symbol, the hashtag symbol, all of these ways to tag people or to tag content is a really clever way to pretty much own keywords, or to at least make keywords a little bit more visible, so people can click anywhere out there on a hashtag on Instagram and then just see hordes of photos for that hashtag. And that's really useful for people who are searching like the same things. Like if you're a cat person like me, then you end up on cats of Instagram. Or if you like coffee or sunsets or whatever, like you just click the hashtag and then you dive deeper. Yeah, net friending. There you go. There's one right there. Thanks, Roy. But yeah, it's a great way to see how the trend for searching is changing. And it was really interesting. I was doing some more research on Forrester, and they were saying that Facebook every single day handles 1.5 billion searches, and that's a lot of searches. But to put that in context, like what does that really mean? How do you know what's Google doing? Google actually only handles 3.5 billion, and so that's a lot. Like Facebook is catching up, especially considering how old each one of the platforms are. I mean, Google is far older than Facebook. I mean, Facebook's really only been around about 12 years. And so that being said, like Facebook is catching up quite rapidly when it comes to search. Now, even when we're talking about this social search, like you could say, platforms like YouTube now, social search, Twitter, social search, Instagram, they're all platforms that are used to kind of bring the masses together, but they're also platforms where you don't need to go to a browser. You don't need to go to a search engine to find great content. And that's really, really important. And then how do you rank yourself on that? So with hashtags, the only really way to be found consistently with hashtags is to constantly be posting hashtags. So that it brings a really interesting approach to SEO, search engine optimization. Like, is that a thing of the past? Is it fading away? Or, how do we leverage search optimization itself on these social platforms? And I think that that's a really important question for all small business owners to ask is what is my strategy? Like, how am I going to be, what hashtag am I going to own? What hashtags am I going to be a part of consistently? To leverage that search and to make sure that they're consistently found. And then also Snapchat. I mean, Snapchat's coming up, and it's not so much searchable in that sense. But the thing is, it goes back to that first point. Like when we're on our mobile devices, 80% of our time is in app. And so if we're looking at these platforms that are adding content into their apps, instead of pulling people out of the app to go to the internet, to go to the standard browser approach, it's far more important that we have a presence in those apps. The third thing I want to talk a little, briefly about is voice search, because voice search is kind of new. People don't really know what they're doing with it, either on either end of the spectrum. Like it's kind of a novelty still, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of space for it to grow. So, you know, a lot of people use the comic relief of Siri or even Google Now or Cortana, I think is Windows or Microsoft's version. And now Alexa with Amazon, the Amazon Echo. And these are really big companies, and they are choosing to interact with us in a way. It's finding out how we speak, how we engage with something that is an inanimate object. Doesn't really have, I mean, they're smart, but it doesn't have the personality that you would have with a human. And just think about a scenario where you were searching for something. Let's say you heard about, you know, a news piece from, you know, a dog saving a baby from a burning building or something in San Francisco. And you wanted to read like the article, see what was happening online with it. So if you were going to Google that, you might type in the terms dog saves baby fire San Diego. But if you're on social, you might look for the hashtag dog saves baby. You know, maybe that's a trending hashtag. But if you were to look or ask for it in a voice circumstance, you would say something along the lines of, what was the story about the dog saving a baby? And I think this is extremely fascinating, because we've gone from keyword-based approaches to even this social, like really specific, like the keyword I'm looking for is this, and there's, you know, not a lot of outside definition, to now this like really natural, almost inflection-based or contextual-based search term with voice search. And what does that mean? What does that mean for the future? Like how are we going to optimize the way that we market to people if people are looking for things in a very contextual way, in a very natural conversation-like way? And I think it opens up a lot of avenues. It gives people a great way to look to be more human in a digital world. And that's something that we really struggle with, is communicating brands in a way that people want to be engaged with them, they want to be a part of them, but without making them too robotic or too distant from the consumer. So it'll be interesting to see like what the next 2 years holds for search, and what people are going to do in terms of engaging with that, because I think that there's a lot of things that can happen, and a lot of things that can make it just explode in terms of how Google did in the early days, or even Facebook has in the last 5 years. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to share and talk about today with everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm really passionate about this idea of searching these trends of being found. So if you have any questions or you want to throw anything up in the chat here before I leave, let me know. Otherwise, I'll sign off, and we'll be here again next week, blabbing again, Made in the Lab. I'm Jason Taves. There's a couple other, Carrie and Rachel. They weren't able to do it today. Carrie's actually up in South Dakota in a big blizzard, so yay. And Rachel, I think she went to a concert or something with her kids. So, all right. Well, thanks guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it stirred up some intellectual thoughts, so you were able to challenge yourself a little bit, thinking about how you're going to be found in the new world of search. All right. Till next time. See ya.